Good morning, I'm just walking through Salford City Council. It's meant to be a thing for the people, by the people, nice and socialist, protect the interests of the people. And this gentleman here, polishing, has told me that this is the mayor's car. I mean, I don't know that much about cars, but one thing I can say is that this car here, this Jaguar, this big-ass XJ series Jaguar, is probably a lot more expensive than, say, a Ford Mondeo or a Vauxhall Vectra, which would do absolutely fine. So it kind of reminds me of the old Soviet times, or the old East German times, when the Politburo, the bureaucrats, would have champagne, Cuban cigars, palaces, big expensive cars, and the rest of the scumbags would have nothing. Today is the 13th of November 2012, and we're here outside Salford City Council, one of their headquarters in Swinton. And as you can see, this was probably built in the 60s or 70s when aesthetics kind of lost all power, and the great theory of the day was function. So as a function, there's little rooms with boxes, absolutely fine, but as something you have to look at, especially when you couple it with a grey sky, and it is grey, it's horrible. It reminds me of the worst things about humanity, the kind of unthinking, ugly, brutal, square box, I guess, thinking of mankind. I went to the cinema yesterday. I don't do that very often. I usually watch my films from BitTorrent, a bit cheaper. But a particular film took my interest, called Argo, the new Ben Affleck movie, produced by Ben Affleck and George Clooney. And it's about the Iranian hostage crisis, the US Embassy hostage crisis in 1979. And funnily enough, it brought back a lot of memories from Toronto and the G20. But first of all, the film Argo, it has quite a neutral look at the Iranians and why they had to do what they had to do, and it does explain the issues with the Shah and the Savat, the secret police, and all the torture and babies being killed. And so the film it's not a propaganda piece against Iranians at all. It does explain why the students did what they did, and I think if what happened in Iran with the tortures and disappearances and the kind of decadence that was imposed by that kind of false monarchy, the Shah, if that happened in Britain or America, you'd see very much the same kind of reaction. People are people, and that's the thing, people are people everywhere. But there's a scene in Argo, the film, where they're struggling to get through an airport, and they get onto the flight, and they can only relax once they leave Iranian airspace. And I got picked up at Toronto airport by nasty police from Peel County, which is where Toronto airport is, and then they dragged me back to Toronto, and that was another couple of days in the cells. And the next day when I flew, I managed to fly back to London on an Air India flight that was booked for me. And the sheer terror and paranoia going through the airport, I had my phone on, and I had the words, "They got me again, please send help," and I had my finger hovering over the send button so that I could send a message before they grabbed me again. And I boarded the flight, and we flew out, and it was only as really I exited Canadian airspace over the Atlantic that I started to relax, that you'd escape. And that's the thing, guys, it's a sick world out there. But the good news is that Toronto police have admitted the illegality of my false imprisonment and the torture, and I got a payout, an out-of-court settlement for 20,000 Canadian dollars. And the world being the world, my lawyer took the lion's share. He took $12,000, so I got $8,000, which works out about £5,000. And so, for my time in the Toronto cells and in the cage at Toronto Bay, the film studios, it worked out at about $160 per hour for my incarceration, which is quite good rates. I mean, a good lawyer would probably earn about that. So that's £100 per hour. And another reason I've come out here to Salford City Council is because the police station is just over there. And many of you will have seen my film, Police and Army Delete My Files. I had to put it onto Vimeo because it got deleted again, very controversial. And the police threatened to arrest me, handcuff me, and he deleted a bunch of my files. So I did a big official complaint. And the chief inspector at the police station said that what Sergeant Kirby did was illegal. Putting someone under duress, forcing them to stop filming and then deleting their files is much more becoming of a police officer in, say, Beijing or Shanghai than in Manchester, Great Britain. And so I got a big official apology. I've got it written down. I've got it written down that the police officer has had a good bollocking. And also I've got it written down and signed by the actual police force, saying that filming members of the public or filming army personnel in public is definitely legal. And so it's just nice to have. So yesterday I went out and filmed a few jewelry stores because, again, it's one of these paranoid situations where anyone filming shiny watches, obviously all the Jason Bourne security guys come shooting out to save the world. Doing this kind of stuff, it's lonely and it's depressing, and you're left with mostly shame and confusion at the end of it, because there's no thank yous, there's no build up, there's no forward momentum, shall we say, of starting 3 years ago, doing the Love Police, doing the whole love and light thing, trying to get people to wake up, trying to get people to rebel in enough numbers. It's failed, and although these videos might inspire a few thousand, you only have to just see where the mind of the public are at when you look at a Justin Bieber video or a zombie whore Nicki Minaj, and then you see hundreds of millions of views, and you see that most countries, or those in the Western world, in the Western advertising mind control world, they operate at a 10-year-old emotional level, to paraphrase Bill Hicks. It's a, would he say 9th grade emotional level? Well, I'd say 10-year-old emotional level. And when, you know, your Nazi queen, the art piece from my friend Lee, gets freed and we're able to walk around town with that, but then just a week later you see a teenager, a boy, who uploaded a photograph, and I've seen the photo, many of you have, of him burning a poppy, a little paper flower, on Remembrance Sunday. And it's exactly the same as burning a US flag or burning a British flag. He burnt a little piece of plastic and paper, and he was in custody for 2.5 days. And here's the thing, like, you're innocent till proven guilty, and we put a teenage boy in solitary confinement, and that's what a police station cell is. It's 4 walls, a ceiling, and a bench. And when you're in there for 70 hours, 60 hours, 70 hours, with nothing but your brain for company and worry, it can really fuck you up. And you get people who assault or rape or steal, and they don't get 3 days in solitary confinement. They don't even get a custodial sentence. And so the work we do, the work I do, it's to try and just shine a light on the madness, on the stupidity, on the self-destructive behavior of British police starting to operate like Chinese police or Russian police or North Korean police, where in the kingdom of fear, with the recession and the terrorists and the swine flu, what else is scaring people? Oh yeah, the pedophiles, the BBC all pedophiles, keep the public distracted. Their threshold for what goes from being a difficulty, an annoyance, a disturbance, to being offended, to being deeply emotionally hurt is lowered, and people will report anything to the police. And that is fucking sad. I don't know how great this country is anymore. I don't know if there is a national consciousness anymore. I don't think we can call this Great Britain. In 2014, the Scottish are going to have a referendum, a vote, to see whether they should leave the Union, the Union of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, Scotland and Wales, England. It's falling apart. The inequalities have been too set in stone for too long. The old boys networks, the corruption, the Freemasonry, the secret clubs the police and politicians belong to, the foster homes, the abuse centres, the people getting abused by hospital staff or care home staff or foster parents. It's not an exaggeration when I say that this country is fucked. Got nothing else to say.